Amarachi lived the kind of life that others envied from afar. She was a successful fashion entrepreneur, married to a wealthy businessman named Kola. Together, they lived in a luxurious duplex in Lekki, with cars parked outside and pictures of their beautiful vacations hanging on the walls. To outsiders, Amarachi had it all: beauty, money, status, and a seemingly perfect marriage. But behind the gated walls of her mansion, Amarachi's heart was slowly breaking. Her husband, once loving and attentive, had become cold and distant. He came home late without explanation, hid his phone like a teenage boy with secrets, and barely looked her in the eye. At night, he would turn his back to her in bed, and Amarachi would lie awake, staring at the ceiling, questioning where everything went wrong. Her instincts screamed that something wasn't right. Women always know. And Amarachi's spirit was no longer at peace. Then came Chinwe, Amarachi's young cousin from the village. Chinwe had reached out, begging to stay with her for just 2 weeks to find her feet in Lagos. Amarachi, with her generous heart, welcomed her in like a younger sister. She bought her clothes, gave her a room, and even paid for her to get her hair done. Chinwe was quiet, respectful, and always eager to help around the house. Or so it seemed. But things slowly began to change. Amarachi began noticing her expensive perfumes disappearing. Her silk wrapper, a gift from Dubai, showed up in Chinwe's laundry. And then came the slip that confirmed her fears. Chinwe, one afternoon in the kitchen, called her husband baby. Amarachi froze. She asked her husband about it later that night. Kola laughed it off, saying, "She's just young and playful. Don't overthink it." But Amarachi wasn't convinced. Something deeper was happening right under her roof, and she needed to find out what. Not just for the sake of her marriage, but for her sanity. So she came up with a plan. She told Kola she had a business trip in Abuja and would be gone for a few days. He barely looked up from his phone when she said it. But Amaraki didn't leave Lagos. Instead, she rented a small Airbnb nearby and hired a professional makeup artist. With fake tribal marks, charcoal darkened skin, and a cheap wig, she transformed into an older woman and returned to her own home. As a cleaner named Auntie Mabel. Now wearing rags instead of designer clothes, Amarachi entered her house and was treated like she didn't matter. Chinwe yelled at her over small mistakes. Kola walked past her like she was invisible. One day, Chinwe spilled red wine on the couch and barked, "Go and clean it, dirty woman." Amarachi's hands trembled, but she obeyed. Because what she needed wasn't revenge. It was evidence. Then one night, she heard it, a chilling conversation between her husband and her cousin. They didn't know she was hiding in the corridor. Chinwe whispered, "Are you sure the sleeping pills are working?" Kola responded coldly, "Let her keep falling sick. Once she dies, no one will question it. I've already changed the will. We'll inherit everything." Amarachi nearly dropped the mop. Her vision blurred. They weren't just cheating. They were slowly trying to kill her and steal everything she had worked for. The next day, Amarachi began planning small audio recorders around the house. She captured every conversation, every evil plan. And then she called her lawyer and told him to be ready. When Kola's birthday came, Amarachi threw a grand surprise party at their home. Everyone who mattered in their world was invited: politicians, society women, businessmen, family members. Kola walked in, dressed in royal blue agbada. Chinwe, bold and glowing, wore a red dress Amarachi had once owned. Suddenly, the music stopped. Amarachi stepped out from the crowd, no longer disguised. Dressed in white, confident and calm, she took the microphone and said, "Tonight we're celebrating not just a birthday, but the man who plotted to kill his wife." The crowd gasped. She pressed play on a small speaker. Kola's voice echoed around the room, admitting everything. Chinwei's voice followed. There was nowhere to hide. Guests looked on in disbelief as police officers stepped in. Kola's face turned pale. He didn't speak. Chinwei broke down in tears. Both were arrested on the spot, handcuffed and led away, right in front of the people they wanted to impress. The story made headlines. Kola lost his businesses. Chinwei was charged with attempted murder. And Amarachi? She slowly rebuilt her life, not with noise, but with grace. She opened a foundation for women in abusive marriages. She named it Auntie Mabel Home. Moral lesson. Sometimes silence is louder than anger. A woman who observes quietly is often the one you should fear the most. Never underestimate someone just because they're calm. If this story shocked you, type "never underestimate a woman" in the comments. Like, share,